Am I the jerk for not accepting my autistic sibling? I have an older brother, age 26, who has autism. He moved away from home to study elsewhere 3 years ago. That was the first time in my life I felt free. I don't hate him because of his autism. I hate him because he's a selfish, spoiled person, which is probably more due to how our parents treated him growing up than his autism. My brother had a temper when we were growing up. If someone else was already in the kitchen when he wanted to cook something, he would blow up at that person. If we said something he didn't like, he would chew us out. If even the tiniest thing was not the way he wanted it, the screaming would start. He would keep screaming for hours. I didn't feel safe in my home. Our parents would try for hours to calm him down. Afterward, my parents would come to console me. My room was right next to his. They knew I heard everything. But in the end, I was the one who consoled them. Recently, my brother has started visiting home more and more. I hate it every time. But my parents keep asking me to do a bunch of things with my brother. They ask me to loan my bag to him, drive him places, etc. It might be petty, but when we were growing up and were in the grocery store with our parents, if he wanted something, he would always get it. We weren't rich, so if I ever wanted something, I wouldn't get it because we couldn't afford it. Because I wouldn't cause a scene. When I was followed home by some bullies in 9th grade, I locked the door that led to our front yard when he got home. He yelled at me for locking the door because we normally only do that during the nights. I explained the situation to him, thinking he would understand because he was also bullied, but he didn't. It was my fault. I should have hurried out of the school. I shouldn't make myself out to be a victim, etc. I told my parents about my feelings years ago. They hugged me and apologized for not being better parents to me when I needed them. What bothered me was when they said, he doesn't understand any better. He was home last week and he's trying, which hurts. He's really trying to engage with me. It makes me confused. I don't know what I'm feeling. Anger, sadness. Because every time he's home, I feel like that little boy I used to be. Sitting under my desk with my hands over my ears, crying, trying to shut out the sounds of my father's and brother's screaming, my mother's crying. I feel like the little kid who wanted nothing more than my big brother. I wanted us to be best friends. But when the only thing you get when reaching out is a foot in your face, you stop trying. My mother once said that he was a child when all of this happened, but so was I. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. Autism is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for being an asshole. If he's able to live elsewhere and study alone, then he's able to be aware of how his behavior impacts those around him. It may be worth talking to your parents again about how the visits and forced interactions with your brother are doing more harm than good. At the very least, when he visits, they shouldn't force any interactions to avoid damaging the relationship further. Am I the jerk for excluding my mom and sisters from my second dress shopping? My mom and sister took me dress shopping, and my mom had already given me a budget and told me she was going to pay for my dress. But when we were trying on dresses, she was being really rude about everything. My sister was telling her to stop and telling me I looked beautiful, but she was just mentioning different aspects of the dress that made me start to feel insecure. Especially since all the dresses I stepped out in, I felt confident in. The attendant really tried with me, but when my mom saw me in the dress, she made comments like, "That dress really accentuates the fact that you need to lose weight. You look short and fat in that dress. That's the worst combination." My mom's only requirement for buying my dress was that she wanted to experience dress shopping with me. But I knew if she went along with me, I wouldn't be happy. So I told her I don't want her to pay for my dress, and basically told her that she didn't need to pay for my dress. I was crying to my dad about not finding a dress and not knowing how I am going to afford a dress because wedding dresses are crazy expensive. He told me that it's okay and said he would pay for my dress and took me shopping. He took me dress shopping with my brother and little cousin. Believe it or not, I had a really good experience. My dad cried, and that was the first time I had ever seen him cry. My brother and cousin were making jokes and complimenting me on every dress. Maybe because they don't know much about fashion, so they couldn't really nitpick. I got a dress. Adjustments are still going to be made, but it's my dream dress, and I am happy with it. I went home with my dad and brother and we told them we got a dress for me, and my sisters and mom looked visibly upset. I knew my mom was going to be upset, but I didn't really expect my sister to be mad at me. They felt like I was excluding them and trying to hurt my mom's feelings. My mom was also upset because she feels like I always make her the bad guy. I understand why my mom feels that way because I have always been closer to my dad. I don't feel like I excluded them since we did go dress shopping together, but everyone except my dad and brother thinks otherwise. You are not the jerk. It's your wedding, and your mom already had her chance to experience shopping with you. Stop trying to validate everybody else's feelings. It's your day. Your dad was happy to see you feel and look beautiful, and you got the dress that made you feel great. Make yourself happy and stop listening to people who bring you down. Am I the jerk for telling my lonely immigrant neighbor to leave me alone? I met a girl because she knocked on my door and told me she wanted to be my friend because she was also a foreigner. I went over to her apartment and had a very uncomfortable conversation where she told me about her negative experiences with people from my country and her university performance. She also made a point of asking about my salary and said she really should make more than me because her Japanese skills were stronger than mine. I didn't enjoy spending time with her, but I agreed to meet again at an event. The next day I had a friend over when the neighbor rang my bell. She had brought a snack. I thanked her, introduced my friend, and explained that we were busy, but I would message her later. However, she would not leave. I repeatedly told her variations of "I'm busy right now and now isn't a good time" in both of our mutual languages, but she just wouldn't leave. Eventually, I had to shut the door on her. 2 days later, the same friend was over, and the neighbor rang the bell again. I saw her on the camera, so we remained silent and waited. She rang multiple times and even texted me saying she saw me arrive home. At that point, I felt really freaked out. The neighbor tried to come by the next day as well, a few minutes after I got home, and I became confident that she was actually watching for me to arrive home. That day I arrived home late, went to bed immediately with the lights off, and was outright mad that she attempted to come over when I was trying to sleep. My friend suggested reporting it to the local police so that they could ask her to stop harassing me. Getting someone deported for being invasive seemed a bit extreme. I mulled over it. The next day was supposed to be the day we were meant to go out together. I messaged her a few hours before and said I did not want to meet her anymore, and that her coming by made me very uncomfortable. She replied and seemed very sad, stating she was lonely. She came by and knocked, but I ignored it. She messaged to apologize and mentioned she was having a hard time in this country. I told her to please leave me alone. I blocked her, and I never saw her again. All this happened over the course of less than a week. I feel bad because I think she was harmless and probably somewhat unwell. She genuinely scared me with her persistence, but I believe that was due to my own issues. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. You have to maintain your peace, fam. She was overstepping, and boundaries are key. You communicated your feelings, and that's all you can do. You don't need to feel bad about self-care. Am I the jerk for not helping my roommate after they broke their leg? I, 18 years old female, just finished my freshman year of college. I met my roommate, Emily, 18 years old female, online through a college page. In March of this year, our school held a roller skating night and a couple of friends invited us. A couple laps in, Emily started to complain her leg was hurting. No matter how much we told her to sit down, she wouldn't. When we were on our last lap of the night, Emily fell and couldn't get up because of how much pain her leg was causing her. Campus safety was called and they drove us back to our dorm. I was very accommodating of Emily. I picked up her lunch and walked her to classes that were upstairs. Originally, she was told her leg was sprained, but her parents drove several hours and took her to a doctor, who told her it was broken. After she received the proper treatment from a doctor, she started to complain more about the campuses and students' accommodations. While I would walk her back from classes, she would loudly comment about people that would pass us and belittle people that offered her help. She also labeled herself as disabled, which really bothered one of our friends because Emily would make rude comments about their disabilities. I will admit, I brushed over these comments at the time because I wanted to see the best in her. A month or so ago, Emily yelled at us because we entered the dining hall without her. I made them talk it out so we were fine for a while. Then I realized that she never apologized throughout the whole conversation. She also would express concern that I am going to choose our friends over her. I tried to make her feel better. My breaking point came during roommate selection for the upcoming school year. On Monday before it was due, Emily called one of our friends and mentioned how she might room with another girl if they didn't get a single. I had heard nothing about this and wasn't really listening to their phone call. I was under the assumption we would room together because that is what Emily told me the week prior. On Wednesday, I saw that Emily had removed me from our housing group, so I asked her if she was rooming with the other girl and she said yes. That is when I started to sob and call my mom because I didn't understand why. Now, only 2 days before selection was due, she was telling me this. In that moment, all empathy for Emily was gone and everything she had done in the past started to make sense. Since then, I haven't tried to talk to Emily or help her in hopes that she would reach out first. It took her almost a week to text me that we are still roommates. Once again, not apologizing. Am I the a-hole for avoiding my roommate? Emily clearly doesn't appreciate all the help, so it's time to stop. You dodged a bullet and should be glad to move forward without all that drama. Go down to housing and ask for a single. Meet new friends who actually appreciate you. Chin up and good luck moving forward. Am I the jerk for telling my stepmother she's not second best to Consolation Prize because she's not in the running? My father and my stepmother got married when I was 9 years old. They have 3 children together. My mother passed away when I was 8 years old. My father and stepmother decided that we needed therapy together because she was struggling and wanted to communicate some things to us that she had not done before. In therapy, she started off by expressing how she feels like she's second best, or a consolation prize to me. She feels like I see her as less than a parent, less than a mother, and it hurts her. She talked about marrying my dad with the expectation that we would be close, and how she believed that a newly motherless child would need someone else to fill in. However, she feels that throughout our time together, I do nothing but compare her to my mom or dismiss her in favor of my mom, leaving her in second place often. She expressed her desire to be more important to me than that, to be a mother figure in my eyes. She didn't want to feel like I would readily discard her if my mom returned. During therapy, she was called out on this behavior and was told it was cruel to bring it up when I am aware that my mom is never coming back. She spoke for several sessions about feeling like second best, a consolation prize, and like I don't care for her at all. She mentioned how I never hug her or correct anyone who mistakes her for my mom. Additionally, she brought up the fact that I have never told her that I love her, which she noticed and expressed her disappointment. She talked about how any mention of my mom hurts her deeply because she can hear how much I love my mom. She admitted to feeling hatred towards my mom, wishing she could make me forget about her so she wouldn't always come in second place. I was asked to address what she said during several sessions, but I was hesitant as I knew it might come across as cruel. So, I chose not to engage. However, my father continued to press me on the issue, and the counselor tried to reassure me that I would not be penalized for speaking up. After much pressure, my stepmother also got involved and urged me to speak up because we needed to work through this, and she needed me to acknowledge her feelings so that we could work on building a stronger relationship. Eventually, I was honest. I told her that she was never second best or a consolation prize because she was never in the running. I never saw her as a mother figure, never considered her to be a potential new or second mom. I never looked at her in that way or desired her to take on that role. I mentioned that she was always competing against my deceased mom for nothing. Following my confession, my father and stepmother were extremely upset. 2 weeks later, the issue was brought up again in therapy, but they are still angry with me. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. They pushed for an answer, and you gave an honest one. Step-parents often expect a child to see them as a biological parent and get upset when that doesn't happen. But the child has every right to their own feelings. She doesn't get to decide for you that you will love her and see her as a mother. It's important that you form a relationship you are both comfortable with, rather than forcing unrealistic expectations. Am I the jerk for calling out my friend for not inviting us to their wedding? There are 7 of us who have grown up together. We went to the same schools, lived within a 10-minute walk of each other, went off to university, and then moved home at about the same time. We went out to bars as a group, went on vacation as a group, snowboard and mountain bike as a group. As each of us has gotten married, we've been in each other's wedding parties, helped organize, and paid in. This continued until the last one of the group got married. We did the stag do together. Barry told us that he wanted a small wedding. We all said we'd see each other there. However, at the reception, it became obvious that 3 of the group had received all-day invitations, and 3 of us didn't. The 3 who had been there all day asked why we were so late, and when we explained we'd been told it was family only, they said they'd assumed something had come up. It's caused a bit of a split, to say the least. 2 of the group who weren't invited to the day wedding aren't talking to Barry. I'm still hanging out with Barry and the day invites. The day invites, me and the other 2 hang out, but not with Barry. I took the decision that, although surprised at Barry's decision, it is what it is. However, we recently went out as a group, missing 2, and Barry was banging on about how the 2 needed to grow up. This was where I might be the asshole. I told him that he could choose how to organize his wedding, but he can't moan about 2 of the group being offended at the lack of an invitation. I told him he was sly in inviting our group in a way that meant we all thought we were being treated the same. So it was a surprise to see half the group treated as family and half treated as add-on guests. I told him he was either an idiot or didn't value the decades of friendship. It got a bit heated as I defended the other 2 for cutting him off. He now isn't talking to me. I think this is another it is what it is situation. One of the day invites is saying I should apologize for being over-the-top blunt. The others are staying out of it. So, am I the asshole for calling out my friend for splitting up the group by not inviting us as a group to his wedding? Does the Reddit invite who you want to your wedding rule apply? Should I apologize? He can invite whomever he wants to his wedding and organize it any way he likes, but he absolutely has to deal with the consequences of his actions. As the saying goes, fuck around and find out. Inviting someone to the stag party but not the actual wedding is a pretty insensitive move. Your friend group should consider ditching Barry. He sounds like a real Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.